Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Today we're looking at the DC Who's Who Update 87, Volume 5. Look at the Spectre. This is drawn by Pablo Marcos, a talent that I've always liked, although this doesn't look like his best work. So a lot of freaks in this one. This was a weird period for DC. They were making a lot of characters. Oh, the Watchmen. But not all of them were that great. Here's the names, so I'm not going to list their names. So let's open up. As usual, I like to look at the letters page, see if I recognize any of the names. Bob Greenberg, he's the editor. Okay, so here's the list of creators. And this is 1987. It says so in the title. So here we have The Reaper. This was Detective Comics 575. Wasn't this Batman Year 3 or something like that with Mike Barr, Alan Davis, and Neary? What a great team. Wasn't this also the character in Mask of the Phantasm? So is the Reaper and the Phantasm the same character? I don't remember. It's been so long. Who is this? Rip Hunter, Time Guy. You know, didn't they hint that Tim Hunter was Booster Gold's father? And I love that idea that Rip Hunter is Booster Gold's father, and because of that, Booster Gold was going around fixing problems in the time continuity, and he was only acting like a clown when he had a very somber job, and the only person who knew was Batman. I loved that story, and it seems like that story just got dropped. I thought that was such an intriguing story, and if I ever become the lord of all comic books, that's a story that I definitely will be picking up. It's so cool. Who drew this? Dan Jurgens and John Beatty, both great talents, just great talents. And we got Dick Giordano drawing Robin over here. I love Dick Giordano. To me, he seems like not an unsung hero, but he doesn't get the praise that he's worth. What can I say about Robin that hasn't already been said a million times? But this is the Jason Todd Robin. Red Rocket Brigade. I kind of like the concept of the Red Rocket Brigade, like these Soviet, but I just never liked. They were too boxy. They were just too boxy. And who drew this? Joe Stanton and Bob Lewis. I don't know Bob Lewis, but Joe Stanton I really like, especially his E-Man comic. The Royal Flush Gang revised. Who drew this? Chuck Patton and Roy. I can't read that. Richardson. I love Chuck Patton. Chuck Patton, full disclosure, was on my channel. We had a wonderful talk. I could have talked to him all night long. I really like Chuck Patton. And I like the Royal Flush Gang, but they seem to be like, they fill the same niche as the Wrecking Crew over at Marvel. What do they are? They're jobbers. You come up with a new pet superhero, you know, Bob Lipschitz just makes his new character, Hero Man, and then Hero Man beats up on if you work for Marvel, then Hero Man beats up on the Wrecking Crew, and if you work for DC, the Hero Man beats up the Royal Flush Gang. But I don't know. I always like card-based villains. This is one of the many billions and bajillions of Green Lanterns. It's cool because he's an alien, but like I said before, I never really liked the Silver Age, you know, Hal Jordan Green Lantern Corps. It's just once there's like thousands of that hero, it dilutes. That's why I don't like these Spider Sonas. I don't like anybody could be Spider-Man. Oh, okay, so this character's not important. You know, anybody could be them. Big deal. But I do like that there's alien races. Who drew this? Oh, Joe Staton already. Shockwave. Who did Shockwave? Oh, Blue Devil. That's right, Blue Devil. He fought Blue Devil. And who drew this? Dan Jurgens and Jack Torrance. I know the name Jack Torrance, but I can't speak with authority on him. But Dan Jurgens, I absolutely love. Dan Jurgens is a triple threat. He can write, draw. I think he can color. What great, and a big vibratory powered villain. Who is it? Oh, it's Dr. Savannah. Dr. Savannah. Everybody knows Dr. Savannah. He is Captain Marvel. You know, Shazam's Lex Luthor. He's the evil scientist that's always trying to throw. And I love the concept of like the godlike hero, like Superman or Captain Marvel, fighting a human scientist. I just love that. I just love that. Speaking of, who drew this? Tom Mandrake. And this is Jim Aparo. I recognize that. He has such a distinctive face. But this is the Spectre. Excuse my cough. James Brendan Corrigan, Jim Corrigan is the Spectre. I just love this character. And the Spectre started out as just like an investigator with ghost powers, you know, like pass through walls and things like that. And then later on, he became like the right hand of God. The only story where the Spectre, all-powerful Spectre, was any good was that Swamp Thing 50. Why did I say fishy? 50. That I did a showcase on that. Check that out. Swamp Thing 50. Such a great comic. But other than that, I like the idea of like a limited ghost detectives. That is just an awesome concept. And again, if I become the emperor of all comics, I will decree that there is a Spectre investigator comic, and there will also be the Bat God will be eliminated. No more it'll be more of Batman as the detective. That's my favorite Batman. And Starfinger. Starfinger was a perfect example of bad DC names that I made fun of as a kid, but I grew to really like Starfinger when I became a fan of the Legion of Superheroes. So yeah, you know, I made fun of the character, and then I grew to like the character. Typical me. Who drew this? Greg LaRocque and Mike DiCarlo, two absolute legends. Doesn't it kind of look like Steve Ditko in a way? Strike Force Cobra by Jim Aparo. They fought, I recognize these guys have fought the Batman and the Outsiders, or maybe just the Outsiders. And what are their names? We got Clayface the Fourth, Elemental Woman, Planet Master, and Zebra Man. Less said about these, the better. The Suicide Squad. Let's look at their names. Black Orchid, Blockbuster, Bronze Tiger, Captain Boomerang, Kronos, Deadshot, Enchantress, Rick Flag, Killer Frost, Mind Boggler, Multiplex, Nemesis, Nightshade, Parasite, Penguin. I've always hated the Penguin. Plastique, Privateer, and Slipknot. Luke McDonald, I recognize right away. Luke McDonald and Bob Lewis. I didn't get the original Suicide Squad, which was more of like an espionage comic. I never picked that up. But my first exposure to the Suicide Squad is this series, the Luke McDonald, John Ostrander series. I really, really liked it. I thought it was a good series. A lot of fun. I did a showcase on issue number 1. Superboy by John Byrne and Kurt Schaffenberger. Again, I love Superman. I'm not too fond of Superboy, but I do love John Byrne and I do love Kurt Schaffenberger. So, you know, I don't know. Classic costume. I love... John Byrne has a slightly different color scheme, and he draws the S a little bit different. So, you know, that's my Superman, because that's when I started collecting Superman, with the John Byrne era. But what else do you want me to say? Titano by Ron Frenz and John Byrne is another Superman villain. And who was it? I forget who it was that said putting gorillas on a cover of a comic is like printing money. And I was the opposite. If you put a gorilla on a comic, I refuse to buy it. You know, now I kind of find giant gorillas charming, but as a kid, oh boy, you couldn't pay me to get giant gorilla comics. Mind Boggler, or Twister by Kerry Gamil and Rich Howard. I'm sorry, I probably messed up the name. Not probably, I messed up the names. Who did she fight? Why can't I think of her name? Who did she fight? Oh, the new Teen Titans. That's right. Yes. Yeah, the Cyborg right there. Duh. She's a Mort, as they used to say in what series was that? Wizard Magazine, Mort of the Month, like the lame character of the month. The Vanguard, speaking of Morts, these showed up in New Teen Titans Annual, number 1. And it's one of my most hated New Teen Titans comics. Antimatter Man, Black Nebula, Drone, Scanner, Solar, White Dwarf. I don't know, I like White Dwarf, but all of that, these were just, you know, alien. They were too alien. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of these space like, you can't relate to them. They're just too alien. Vibe by Luke McDonald. I wonder why Chuck Patton didn't draw this, but he's from the Detroit era of the Justice League. He's got vibration powers, you know, and he's like the Hispanic by Luke McDonald. I already said that. you know, at first I didn't like the Detroit League, but I grew to really, really like them to the point. It's funny because that's when I started collecting the Justice League. I've since bought older issues, but I started collecting the Justice League with the Detroit era Justice League, and you know, I didn't like it at first, and you know, now I really like it. Here's the Watchmen. You know, the history of the Watchmen. Who's this? By Dave Gibbons, of course. What can I say about the Watchmen? I love the Watchmen, but ultimately, I think it just started this trend of deconstructing comics, and I'm tired of deconstructing. I want good guys, superheroes. I want guys that you could root for, you know, and that's in my comic. The Patriarch will be a superhero you can root for. Okay, Terry Beattie drew Wild Dog. He was like a Punisher style vigilante. He used guns and he killed people. To me, this was really shocking that DC put out Wild Dog, you know, and you never see him anymore. You know, he's basically a mass murderer. You know, he doesn't speak in his comics. He just stares at you. It's pretty intense, you know. Windfall, she was what, I forget what the name of the team was. She fought Batman and the Outsiders and the Elements or something like that. But by John Bogendorf and John Beattie. There's something charming about how bad this costume is. I like it, but it's poorly designed. Let's be realistic. I don't know. Ismala from Mike Grell's Tartarus from why can't I think of it? Warlord, jeez, by Ron Randall. It's funny because Mandela Effect. I have memories of reading all of Warlord, and then I look back. I only read the first 6 issues, so I got to get back to rereading it. This character I've loved, Zimir. It's funny because I talked about alien characters can't be relatable. They are if you're a good writer and you do some good characterization. Because look at this thing, and it is awesome. There's villains and there's heroes in the Legion of Superheroes. The Legion of Superheroes second series, they're just aliens. You know, the Legion of Superheroes delves deeper and finds these crazy. They live in methane oceans and they have telepathic and telekinetic abilities. They're so cool. I really like the concept of them. There's the appendix with the other names. Aquaman in this suit. The Electrocutioner. So this is just updates on known characters. If anything changed since the last time they appeared, they're shown here. Bronze Tiger. Halo is a character I've always liked. Halo. I have a soft spot for the Jim Aparo, Mike Barr, Batman and the Outsiders. And here's the covers. I think I have every one of these. I don't think I have the Green Lantern. I'm sorry, guys. I just don't like the Green Lantern. But I think I have every one of these comics except for the Green Lantern. And here's the back cover. So there you go. It's been a while since I did a showcase. I've been mostly doing, you know, conversations with people, and I really love the conversations. I'm not, you know, but I might slow down on the conversations because work might be picking up, you know, my day job, so I got to deal with that. So I'm going to probably just do like one a week like I used to do. Okay, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video. Bye bye.